Hi everyone, this is Kelly. Welcome, welcome. Let me know in the comments if you are watching the replay or if you are joining live. It's always so lovely to hear you. And as we go along, let me know if you have any questions. So I put this together. This is about love and relationships as a path to initiation. And I want to come and talk to you about this as I've had quite a few conversations with different women about relationships. And I've heard from women that are in unhappy relationships. I've heard from women who feel lonely. I've been speaking to women that have had horrible toxic relationships. And I've worked with many, many women who have had sexual abuse and trauma. And all of these aspects really affect our ability to have healthy, safe, loving relationships now. And I want to say that the way the world is structured when it comes to union, when it comes to relationship now, it's really not in the sacred. There is so much distortion, and I really want to speak to that. I've been working with many women who, when they've begun working with me, when they began really coming into their divine feminine essence within their womb, they've kind of realized that they've had all of these times where they've just gone along with having sex because there was an unsaid expectation that they had to, because they went back to the person's house, because they were bought a drink or a nice dinner, or because someone came and stayed with them. There's kind of a lot of us, when women do the work with me, they realize that they've had a lot of kind of non-consensual sex because they thought that they owed it to the guy somehow. And, there's a kind of pattern of women realizing that they have repeatedly ignored their inner guidance of whether they really want to have sex or not and just gone and done it. And so, what this creates is a real lowering of your sacred boundaries around your power center, around your sacred divine feminine within. And so, your self worth gets really driven down very, very low when you've had this in your past. I want to speak to the women as well who've been in toxic relationships. Maybe they've been in narcissistic relationships or verbally abused, emotionally abused, physically or sexually even. All of this trauma that we hold within us from these different experiences kind of get us locked into a kind of pattern of keeping to attract these same types of relationships. And until we heal and honor just the amount of abuse and detriment to your self-identity, that's what this creates, is a real detriment to your self-identity, to your self-value, to your self-esteem, to who you are really. It's almost, this creates a very big soul loss from a shamanic perspective when women have experienced this sort of toxic narcissistic abuse. Until that is healed, it's very, very difficult to actually create anything in your life. Forget just, love and relationships, to create business, to create ideas, because it creates a real soul loss. And I really want to speak to the woman as well who's perhaps feeling lonely. And so many women I've spoken to, they are in a relationship, but it's an unhappy relationship where they don't feel seen, valued, or loved and honored for who they truly are. And so they end up feeling very lonely, even if they are in a relationship. Or perhaps you are actually alone right now and you feel kind of overwhelmed with going into the dating world, and you think, well, what's the point? I'm just going to give up because it's so hard out there. And all of these things are really important things to speak about, because love and relationships are a very strong path to initiation. Our paths, whether it's in love and relationship, whether it's in our business, in wealth, are all connected. They are all connected and if our self-worth is low in one area, it shows up in another area. Energy doesn't stay contained in different areas. It is all connected. And the relationship, especially our personal relationships, are the biggest teachers, the biggest path to initiation, because it's where we open up our heart the most to another. It's where we meet all those parts of us that are unloved, that are uncared for, all those parts of us, our shadow side. And so love and relationship is a very deep path to really initiating into the inner self-worth and magnificence that you are. And if you're able to navigate love and relationships consciously as a path to initiation, then it creates huge, like the biggest breakthrough in your life in terms of business, in terms of wealth, in terms of success. Because if you can stand in a relationship and feel full, feel worthy, feel loved, even in difficult relationships, then you're able to stand strong in yourself. You're coming from a very deep center of deep self-love and deep self-honoring, and that radiates out into every aspect of your life. You're standing up as someone who is deeply, deeply worthy of many, many things. Because here's the thing, all these things, whether it's relationship with men, whether it's money, whether it's success, they're all just pure energy reflecting to you how you feel about yourself. And so when we work on love and relationship consciously as a path to initiation, we can very quickly, I want to say expand. We can very quickly expand our potential in all areas of our life. And we've all probably heard that saying. I can't remember who said it now, but it was like something like, if you feel like you're enlightened, go and spend a week with your family and then tell me how you feel. And it's talking about this. You can go and meditate, you can go and journal, you can go and do all your inner work. And if you stay on your own in a castle, in an ivory tower, then that's fine. You don't have to interact with anyone else, and you're going to be fine. But if you take all of that and go and live in the world, and especially in relationships, and then see what's really happening. Are you really able to stand in your self-worth and your power when you're getting triggered? Because that's what relationships do. And so I want to talk to you a bit about my story with, well, one of my stories with what I would call a soulmate. So I was really excited when I met, and I've never shared this story before, but I feel like it's very important to share this story of love. So I met this man, and this man, when he came into my life, I was married to someone else, and this man came into my life, and I was just like, who is this man? Like it felt like we had this huge magnetic spiritual connection, like on the mental, speaking with him, on the physical it was really difficult, but we had this huge connection. And then I started to see him in dream time. We would be up in the stars, pouring lights in the stars and the galaxies and doing all sorts of magical things. Anyway, fast forward a few years, we got together, and I must say I was so excited to be with this man. I felt this man was my, whatever you would say, your twin flame, my soulmate. I was like, well, this is the grand love. This is the, the thing that we read about as kids in fairy tales, but beyond, it's the spiritual connection. He and I are one. Like, this is going to be the most amazing relationship. And when we came together, it was a very special moment. We were on a beach here in Ibiza, and we just hugged, and it was like bonfire, sparks flew off. It was incredible, our connection, if we didn't open our mouth. And so you can imagine then what happened when instead of that being the grand love that I really thought it was, it became the most painful initiation into self-love and true empowerment that I could ever think of. It was so not the romance I hoped for, and it never could be, because I did not realize this, but I was not able to love myself, to hold myself and empower myself. And so that other half, that twin flame, or even, it doesn't matter. I don't like to get hung up on twin flames, because I think that's become another thing that we can get hung up on. Whatever, he is a soulmate, because we are all soulmates. He came in so that I could stand in that flame of pure transmutational fire to finally love myself and hold myself and empower myself. And so this is what love relationships can do. This is what love relationships, if we're willing to stand in the fire, and I'm not saying stay in toxic relationships or abusive relationships or, you know, anything, but I'm saying if we can use whatever that is being reflected back at us as a tool for inner alchemy, for transmutation, for empowerment, for a deep commitment to honoring this Christic Sophia, this light, this kingdom, this love within, if we can use it consciously for that, then we become unstoppable, powerful souls on earth. And I will say that initiation with him has enabled me to do the work I do now, to share this work, to bring this work up to the level that it's at, and to expand it even more, because it invited me to stand in my power and in love with myself. So that's how I want to describe why love is a path of initiation if you choose it consciously. And last night, actually, I was up doing a bit of inner work, and I was reading one of my favourite mentors' books, Dr. John D. Martini. I've studied hundreds of hours with John. He's an amazing man. And I feel teary. It's such a beautiful quote if you let it sink in. But he says, true love is without motivation. True love is its own reward. True love is its own reward. And I think if you can just sit with that quote and allow that code to really come into you, that is so precious, because that is showing us that love on its own is its own reward. It's just, anyway, it blew my mind last night, so I wanted to bring that in. And this is what love and relationships can do, because what it can bring us to is to truly love, to truly honor yourself, all that you are, to the good parts, the fat parts, the yucky parts, the hurting parts, the painful parts. All parts of you can come into union with yourself, into complete wholeness with yourself, all of it. And so love and relationship can be a path to the union within, the Christ within, the love within, the power within, that is you. Because what happens in those relationships is all relationships are reflecting to us something about ourselves. And if we can use that consciously, then we can create this inner union where then you are able to navigate the world from this sense of wholeness, this sense of completeness, this sense of fullness, this sense of pure love. And this impacts your work, your wealth, your success, and your love relationships to a whole new level, because you are literally vibrating and radiating love, pure love. You are radiating infinite worthiness, infinite magnificence. And, you know, as I've said, energy doesn't stay in containers. This is going to radiate and ripple out through your entire world because you are vibrating. I am love. I am enough. I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. I am this great I am that you are. And so when you are working on love and relationships, then we're really just working on ourselves and remembering a return to wholeness of who we are. So I want to speak then to those that say that they feel unlucky in love. And, you know, this is a reminder that you aren't unlucky. You know, there's no such thing as being lucky or unlucky in love. It's all to do with the relationship with yourself. And I'm going to tell you, this is a really hard cookie to swallow. Is that what you say? I can't even think what you say. This is a pill to swallow. This is a really hard thing because I had very, mentors around me going, well, Kelly, you just don't love yourself enough yet. So that's it. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm doing everything to love myself. I'm looking in the mirror. I'm doing self-care. I'm doing everything. Like I would get cross, like very cross with mentors when they would say that, because I'd be like, what the hell? What the fuck? I am doing it. I'm doing it. And I'd almost be like screaming up, to God, Goddess, and saying, what more do you want me to do? I'm doing all that I can to love myself. And that was my hallelujah moment. To quote Leonard Cohen's song, it's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. When he said that, when you stop trying and you start then allowing the amazingness, the pure light that you are to be, this is when you get to really honoring the inner magnificence that you are. And so it's not about being lucky or unlucky. It's about your relationship with yourself and what your true thoughts, words, actions, deeds, vibration is about yourself. And our relationships are a pure reflection of how we feel about ourselves and what patterns we have from childhood, whether we've been abused, abandoned, neglected, or had difficult stories. And most of us have had difficult stories of some kind. So we are not unlucky in love. We are so very, very worthy, but we really need to do this inner work for it to work, for us to have that grand love that we really desire. Because it's not going to come from affirmations if you listen to my I am worthy of love training, it's not going to come from affirmations in the mirror, from holding yourself a little bit, from doing self-care ritual. This is superficial stuff. It needs to be the deep inner work where we meet those parts of you that felt abused, that felt unloved, that felt neglected, that didn't feel safe, that had to be an adult or a child. Like all of this deep inner work is what will help you truly rise in love. And so then when it comes to how you can open to love, even when you've experienced heartbreak, just realize that this is the path to loving yourself. Relationships is the path to loving yourself. Like you can't avoid it. Well, you can avoid it actually, but you are really avoiding yourself. So if you kind of say, right, that's it, I've had enough of a relationship, I'm going to stay single, stay on my own. And I'm not saying that's bad. Like sometimes it's good to be on your own, but if you're going to avoid it completely and shut it down, you are really avoiding yourself, and you are really avoiding your chance for the biggest breakthrough and love and success in all aspects of your life. I mean, I want you to imagine what it would be like for you if you felt really safe within yourself, if you felt really this inner confidence and this knowingness within yourself of your infinite worthiness. If something did go wrong in your relationship or your business with your life, if you were okay with that, if you didn't use that as an excuse to criticize yourself, to put yourself down, to say you've done something wrong, to say it's because you've not enough, but instead you've got your back, you're not making everything around you and internalizing it and saying it's because you're rubbish or wrong. You're actually saying, okay, there's something to learn here. What can I learn? What can I grow? And you're able to move forward into that vibration of all of your needs and desires are met. You're not wanting anything. You are feeling in flow with the universe, and things and miracles are coming to you. Opportunities are coming to you. And this is what my circle Rise in Love that is starting next month is all about. It's essentially about holding you in a circle to go deep and do this inner work. And believe me, I have seen it all. Toxic relationships, abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, childhood trauma. I've seen it all. It doesn't frighten me. I'm used to that. That's what I do. I am part of my work on the feminine path of initiation is shadow work. So holding you through that so you can feel and heal that and feel safe in that complete transmutation, so that you are able to really open up to love and, like I said, success and abundance in all aspects. Because when you rise in your infinite worthiness, in the love for yourself, when you have come into wholeness with all these unhealed parts, you are able to truly rise and expand in love, as this program is called, but all areas of life. And so practically what Rise in Love is about, it's a 5-week circle where we come together in circle, because circle is such a magical way to work. It creates a very special holding energy for you to really be held in all of you are. Forget the pretenses. You don't have to be successful or pretend that you are, because you are successful, by the way, but you just don't feel it yet. So we try and put on a mask that we're better than we are and more than we are, because really we've got this shadow that we feel terrible and disgusting and never good enough. So in circle, you don't need to wear any masks. You can show up as you truly are and be held and met where you are in this moment. And that is extremely powerful. So we meet for 5 weeks, and I will be taking you through the path of clearing your past, clearing the past hurts, clearing past relationships, clearing childhood stuff, and then starting to get into enjoying what do you truly desire in a relationship. You know, not what the textbooks say, what the fairy tales say, but what are your true deep desires for a relationship, and how can you honor that? And then to start to ignite your desire force, your sexual energy, your creative energy, and how you can start to harness the power of this together with your unconditional love for yourself to bring in deeper connection. And I can tell you, even if you're in a relationship, I've had women say that men have changed like a miracle in front of their eyes when they've done this inner work with me. So even if you're in a relationship, things can change. If you're not in a relationship, I've had women that have been single for a long time get into relationships. I've had women get out of very toxic narcissistic relationships. And so this is my invitation to you. This is the first time I've done this program. I don't know if I'm going to do it again. I just don't know. You know, I'm constantly evolving and new things are coming on. So now is the time. If you have enjoyed I Am Worthy of Love training, or if you are feeling this calling for grand love, or if you are feeling this calling to really solve the reasons why you struggle in relationships, then Rise in Love is for you. Don't hang around and, you know, get stuck in the same patterns, because it's not going to go on its own. Believe me, when you have, especially if you have this deeper stuff, this self-criticism, self-loathing, not feeling worthy, difficult childhood or traumatic paths, that's really hard to do on your own. You know, I spoke to a woman earlier and she explained to me what had happened in her life. It's really tough. It's really, you know, and there's almost in this personal development world, we're like meant to just work through it and get through it on our own, and it's all okay, and let's not get into victim. But hang on a minute, some of this stuff is really scary, big stuff. So get help for it. That's what this is. Don't struggle on your own. Um, and now I'm going to open up for questions. So if you are attracted to that, reach out to me and we can set up a call. I have got a couple of questions here, so I'm just going to answer them. Yeah, so someone's asked me, they've said, what happens if it doesn't work? You know, they've done lots of programs, they've done one of those people that have done lots of different courses, and she said, look, what happens if it doesn't work? And here is my guarantee to you, I will offer you a refund if it doesn't work for you. Because anyone that comes into this program, first we're going to have a chat because I want to make sure it's the right fit. And I won't let anyone into my program who I don't think it's a good fit for. So I'm really happy to offer you a money back guarantee if it doesn't work, because sometimes it's like that inner saboteur is like, oh, you've got this course or that course, oh, what happens if it doesn't work? Forget about it. And we get talked out of going into the deep, because that is where we are going on this call. And it's almost like the ego part that wants to keep us safe talks us out of it. So I am doing a money back guarantee to help that. Okay, so if it doesn't work out, you will ask me for a refund and you will get one. And I tell you, in all the years I've worked, I've only done that once. And she asked me, and I just said, fine, here you go. And I gave her her money back because it's not my worry for me. I know that's going to work for you. Now, someone else asked me, they've bought my other programs, Success the Feminine Way or Goddess Overflow, which are £11 and £33. And she's like, oh, shall I do that first before doing this? And here's the thing, those courses are brilliant, by the way. They're really good courses. Goddess Overflow is really good for expanding your abundance. Success the Feminine Way is beautiful for really understanding your feminine and masculine energy and how to work with them. But what those little mini courses don't do is do the deep inner work. So for me, they're a great taster. If you want to know me, if you want to know more about me, they're a great start, but they aren't going to go into the deeper trauma work. We need to do that in person, if you like, in a call with me on there. That's not something that you can really do on your own. So let me know if you have any questions. Lovely to see all of your comments here. And you can let me know if you have any questions later on. So I'll come back and I'll check if you have any questions. Thank you so much for joining and listening to my story. Really know that love and relationship is the most beautiful path to the initiation into your deep soul, who has so much to share and expand on this earth. So let it expand. Don't let this past and this distortion that we live in stop your inner magnificence shining out. Clear it, do the inner work, come and work with me, and allow yourself to expand. Lots of love, everyone. Bye-bye.